And he knows Patty really, really well.
Capone?
No, but he might actually. Patty, no.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Stage Door Medium. I'm super excited today because before I introduce our guest, you guys, it's an in-person guest today. It's not Zoom. So if you're noticing why you notice my age lines more, it's because we're using a really nice camera today versus the Zoom one. So before I introduce him, part of what we're doing with season 2 is that I like to try to answer questions that you just have about mediumship before I welcome a guest in. So one of the questions I got, and it's a good one, you guys have been asking really good ones, was why do mediums look to the side when delivering a reading? So if I have the client like right in front of me, like why do I look over here? So a couple things I guess that I should explain. First off, I think from the obvious, like if you had somebody like staring at you the entire time, just like this, it would be creepy. I think it would kind of be off-putting. It might throw off the energy of the client if they feel like they're being stared at. But mostly, I'm not gonna lie, it's really for me. During a reading, my third eye starts working up here, so I start to see symbols. But you can't see it right now, but the walls in the studio are just white. They're plain white. Because for me, images look translucent. Like there's an opacity to them. So if I have a solid background, it shows up more easily. So I tune out. I look at the wall over here. That's why I don't really have anything on my wall, because what's exciting about a white wall is nothing. So if I had something fun on the wall or like wallpaper, my brain might start to wander. So just boring white keeps me focused. And then also another reason why is, remember, as a medium, I'm here because we're talking to spirit. Otherwise it would just, if I'm just looking at you, that means I'm having a conversation with you and not spirit. I hope that makes sense, but I always look to the side because that's who I'm having the chat with, and then I'll kind of straddle, because if I ever feel like the plug gets pulled from the wall, it means I'm spending too much attention having a nice conversation with you, but not doing my job. We have such a special guest today. Again, it's in person. B, they're local. They grew up here. They moved away for a little bit. They went on to, do the national tour of A Chorus Line. They were in Wicked for just about 12 years. The first national tour, second national tour, Broadway, Trip of Love, Off-Broadway, Contact. And then he's just about to open his own business. His first. I'm so excited to welcome him. So please help me in welcoming the incredible Nicky Venditti to our show today. Yay! In person, I can do this.
You can touch me.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm super honored to be your first in person.
My first in person.
Yeah.
You've been back for a year. June? Is it going to be a year in June?
In August.
August. Okay.
But almost.
So what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, after like all the move dust settled after coming back from New York City, just a lot of growth, a lot of taking it day by day, changes happening nonstop. I came here sort of not last minute. I have family here, so I wanted to come back and be by family, and I'd never lived near my family in my whole adult life. So did a lot of visiting, just sort of like enjoying the novelty of like not living in what the craziness of New York City can bring. Driving my car, like picking up groceries, putting them in my hatchback, doing laundry in my unit.
Are both mom and dad from here?
No, my dad's from here, and then my mom is from Chicago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No. So, just I was acclimating at first, and then, I'm a functional health coach, fitness instructor, and things have really just evolved like over time. In the first couple months, I realized that I can work out of a space here. So not really knowing what I wanted that studio space to be in the beginning. I was definitely thinking like, all right, I'll take clients here, I'll private train, this and that. And then as time went on, I was like, my real dream is to have a studio, like have a space where multiple people can come, feel that communal vibe in a group fitness class, sweat, be doing good for themselves, but also like, you know, getting in shape. And so it really just evolved over time. So I've really been putting so much energy into that in between like visiting family and just, you know, going having Sunday sauce at my brother's. Sauce. Yeah, things I never like really got to do as an adult living in New York, you know. Well,
I have to give you credit. If you if you're watching at home, Nicky, I'm gonna put up your Instagram. You put everyone to shame. So I feel like Anna from Frozen, you know how she wakes up and her hair looks like shit and like she's just like, you've already been up for like 4 hours at this point. I go to your story, I'm like getting ready. By like 6 a.m., your feet are already in the dirt, in the ground, and you're like, I'm grounding myself right now. I've journaled, and I'm like, what am I? I'm like, I literally am just like eating sun chips at like 6 a.m. after letting the dogs out. And you're like, I'm ready to start my day, and I'm like, I don't want to go to work. So inspirational. So we're going to put up your handle in a little bit so people can see these videos as well. When did you get the bug that you wanted to do theater?
Gosh, I think literally out of the womb. Like I always say, I've been dancing like since I was born, because I got into it watching my sister, who's 9 years older than me, her VHS tapes. I would learn her routines. Very Mike, a la Mike from A Chorus Line. You know, watching Cisco.
I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. Like that was literally my upbringing, complete with all the Italianness and involved as well. But so dancing was always just something I did naturally, and I was, you know, sort of just did dance for a while, and I did dabbled in a little bit of local theater in Buffalo before I left, and always loved it, but I always studied dance the most and went to a performing arts high school in Chicago. I ended up moving to Chicago with my mom for high school.
Is that the one Cecily went to? Cecily Strong?
Yeah, she was like a year younger than me. We were actually in school at the same time. Yeah. But side note, I don't really remember her. She used to smoke cigarettes with my friend Daniel in his car and listen to Fiona Apple. Because we were all really into Fiona Apple.
Who was it?
I mean, come on.
Who wasn't into... I don't know.
I know, I want to know.
Read on her.
Yeah. Seriously, come on, go there. Let's go. So, but I mean, I had the bug really from the first time I went on stage. I danced at Dance Spectrum in Buffalo. And they do their shows at Shays, which was so magical. I was like 8 years old and stepped foot on the Shays stage and the lights, and I remember people telling me, like my mom will tell me the first dance that I did, my smile apparently was just through the roof. And I felt that way. Once I was on stage, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is it.
Yeah. How did A Chorus Line come about for you?
So when the Broadway revival happened in 2006, I was going in and like getting pretty far in callbacks, and it was like sort of ruining my life every time because I was going in for Paul and I'd go in for Mike here and there. And, you know, those auditions were just really intense. I think just that show breeds that like extra intense old school mentality.
Bingo.
So I never ended up doing it in the Broadway revival, and I had already been on tour with Wicked actually. And I was getting a callback for the tour, and it was just one of those things. I was on the road, and, something in my gut told me, go for this. I was a little flustered with that show because, actually, to back up, one of my like most intense callbacks for A Chorus Line, I did not get, and it was the one time I like literally, this is like kind of shameful, but I went and bought some vodka after the audition because I was just so done.
Yeah.
And I like I let myself like have a moment. But I said to myself that night, I knew I had my appointment for Wicked on that Monday. A Chorus Line was on a Friday. And I said to myself, I'm going to book Wicked. And I just knew it in my like heart. I don't know. I miss those days of like just really feeling something in gut, happening.
Yeah. I'm going to manifest
It's just different now. And I ended up, that's when I booked Wicked. So I had been on tour with Wicked, and I went in for a callback for the Chorus Line tour, and I booked that. So I ended up, leaving the Wicked tour initially, when I opened the second national tour, I left the Wicked tour to do A Chorus Line, play Paul. And then because I was a swing at Wicked, clearly I knew a lot of the tracks, and so closed a chorus line in like June, and then that August I went and closed the San Francisco company of Wicked as History. And then from there things just snowballed, like because I was a swing and I had luckily good standing with the company. I was then pulled to the First National, and sort of went back and forth before.
You said something so interesting when we were talking about it before, that you weren't ready to access that yet. Like,
when I'm playing Paul, you mean?
That monologue.
Yeah.
Like, how do you... would you approach it differently now with more life experience?
Yeah, totally. I think I would approach the whole approach, if you will, differently. You know, because I had just come from... I was on this path of like just performing, and I was in such a dancer mind frame, and I had done the Radio City show in New York, went right to Wicked as a swing, and then I go from like sitting backstage quite a bit, because in the opening of the tour not a lot of people called out, so I wasn't on a whole lot, and then I went into chorus line right away, where I was again on stage for 8 minutes alone doing this monologue, and I did feel like, you know, I got the part because I just embodied the character naturally to a certain point, as I think many of the guys that play that part do, or anyone in that show. And then I do remember, though, 8 shows a week having to deliver that is, you need tools. And I had some.
Yes,
but
elaborate. Tell me.
Yeah, like I believe that I would totally approach it. I ended up doing it regionally a couple years after, and I felt so different doing it a second time. And I think it would be much different if I did it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite honestly, I think I did a pretty good job, but I wish I had some more tools to have to go to that place every night, because it's one thing to do it in an audition room and have the adrenaline and, you know, come to tears and all of that in front of all of these intimidating people. But it's another thing to do it in, like, you know, I don't know, Kalamazoo on a Sunday. Yeah, and let me tell you, like, people would... It was so silent in the theater. You would hear people starting to rustle, and then, like, you get in your head, and, you know, it's just... And then that's what I mean by tools. Like, now I think I'm better equipped to deal with the shutting out. But yes. I would hear something, and it would just set me off, and then it was like, that's what I was thinking about, and not Paul's story, and so... Yeah, it was tough.
It happens with mediumship. I mean, on a weekend, I will take readings as early as I can, because there's not as much to trip me up. Like, like you said, if something goes off, you know, in the house and you notice it starts to pull focus. If I start to do a reading at like 4 on a Saturday, if I'm up at 8, from 8 to 4, if anything sets me off, like, I then view that as like baggage that I have to pull off me before I go into a reading. And I think that's one thing, like, now after 8 years of doing this, now I think I have the tools to equip myself more. But I remember when I first started reading people, you know, you're dealing with like heavy topics.
Cannot imagine.
You want to, and that was the biggest lesson I learned, is like, you want to fix them, so to speak. Like, I very much enjoy helping people, but when I first started, it was like this idea of what horrible circumstances you've had in your life. Like I want to fix this as the medium. And then I found I was coming home way too drained, because I would want to go longer, and instead of a half hour, chat for 1 hour with that person, or be like, here's my email, please call me when you have questions, it's on me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, no.
You learn the boundaries.
Boundaries. And then I started draining, and I'm like, oh, like, and then I had to start to rewire my brain, going, okay, you're putting the good out there by reading them, by relaying the messages, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, and I always tell people too, and I know it's kind of unrelated, but I always say, I'm so sorry, but like generally around the 3 to 4 minute mark after the reading's over, like, if I go over, I have to start to wrap up, because like,
it's draining. Yeah.
So
it's like what we were talking about a little bit before. It's like, that's part of, you know, self-care is huge, especially when you're in a seat that you're in, and people really come to, and it's a very precious thing for people, to put it lightly. And I think anyone on the other end, on the receiving end, that has the sort of wherewithal can respect those boundaries, though.
Yes.
You know? And if people don't, that's not on you.
When I read Jen Colella, she did this. No one's ever asked me this before. And like I started tearing up. It caught me off guard. She looked at me at the end of the reading and she said, thank you. And then she was like, are you okay? And like, it was the sweetest thing for somebody to ask, like, how are you? Like, you've just been the ferryman for like the last 45 minutes to an hour. Like, and you know, sometimes people ask, like, do you get tired doing it? And like, I always have to say like, yes, but I get tired. Like walking the dogs. I get tired, like going to work full time. So it's no different. I just say I burn down faster. And it's interesting. Like when I was younger, I used to say, well, how hard can it be to be a performer? You're going on for just a couple hours. Why are they tired? Why are they sleeping in? But like, if you're, I'm going to take a liberty. I would imagine if you're really doing your job, like you're not, there's no autopiloting. It's like 110%. So you drain down so fast that like where I could get through 8 hours of my normal job, like 2, and I'm done. Like, I'm like, nope, I gotta.
Yeah, it's different.
We had a question that came in today they asked if we could both answer, but this is going to probably make more sense for you because my answer is typically nothing. They want to know what you eat before a show, how long before a show can you eat, what do you eat to like get the most energy? Because I know this person who asked, and they work in nutrition, so they're curious.
Okay. No, it's such a good question, and it's really a fine line because you do need enough sustenance, but you also, like I said earlier, don't want to feel like you're going to blow mud on stage. Sorry to say it.
We talk about poop here.
I love talking about poop. I'm just going to say it. So anyway, it's very telling, your poop.
Poop comes up in readings as well.
Really?
Like just today, I was like, is somebody... I literally, like, my stomach started hurting, which is usually colon cancer, but I knew it was mild today. And then I was like, you basically hear like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, somebody recently changed their diet? And they were like, yes. And I'm like, was it giving them like gas? And like, I didn't want to say, I didn't want to say like plops. I was like, just like bathroom issues. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, moving on. So poop does come out. But yeah, keep going.
So... what do I eat? So I usually, I have a parameter of like 2.5 to 3 hours, definitely before a show. And it's usually something that has a carb that's like solid. Like I used to eat a lot of salads, and I realized like the dressing and the greens just did not bode well for a rested stomach. So anything that's gonna like give me the sustenance, it's usually like a carb and a protein, like clean food, not a lot of saucy type stuff. And that's me, because I'm pretty like sensitive with what I have before I do a show. So I just keep it clean, and it's 2.5 to 3 hours before, definitely. And if it's an evening show, then I make sure like I have a good breakfast, and so that I don't have to eat a crap ton. Yeah. Now that said, after a show, I'm not one of those like, I'm not going to eat after the show. Like I go in after the show. But it's tricky because then you're not home until like 10:45, 11, and then you eat, and then you got to wind down, and so you're not in bed until, the circadian rhythm gets a little messy. But
did you have a hike between the Gershwin and home?
Yeah, so I lived in Inwood, so I was about 40 minutes.
That's a hike. That's
a hike, and then you count in New York subways on the weekend, and it was like just a disaster sometimes, but it was worth it.
For me, mine's typically nothing, but it's also tricky because now I'm working, and then I start readings at 4. So for me, I'll have coffee in the morning, but then I'm like, well, I can't have nothing before. So like if I get coffee again around noon, I'll have something small. But then I think my problem that I'm trying to work on right now is that, like you said, when I get out of the reading, I'm so hungry that whatever is in my sight, I will like eat. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, that wasn't healthy. So that's one thing that I got to get better about. But it gets tricky because if you're new to watching the show, I did answer it a little bit in season 1, but for me, because my body is used to tell the story sometimes of how someone passed, if I'm getting this is almost always kidney or colon cancer. But if my food is digesting, and I know better, but if you, I think for mediums that are newer and that are training, you might start to go, oh, I've got somebody here who had colon cancer. No one had it. You're digesting your food.
You just should not have eaten that Chipotle bowl before your reading, boo.
Coffee messes with me too. So the one time I had Starbucks, the brown sugar, the new one, the oat milk, but I didn't realize how many shots were in it, and it like fucked me up. I had it about an hour before the client came in, and thankfully I like chugged water to get it to kind of dilute my system. But I felt like I laid down to meditate, and I was like, the room is spinning. So I'm like, oh, who's coming through right now? I'm like, did somebody have a head issue? Yeah. It was the coffee. So luckily it was fine. The reading was great, but
see, on Broadway or as a dancer, you go and perform, you're like, oh, I have gas. Like, that sucks, and I know why, but I can do my job. But you're like, is this somebody with major IBS that's passed, or is this just me? Like, it's that's wild.
I think what I'm really drawn to is this idea of like new dreams, because I think sometimes when I read a client, they grapple with the idea of like pursuing a new dream. And for me too, I've had clients before that will say something like, well, you told me about this new dream of mine that I could pursue, and it didn't happen. It happened, I shouldn't say it doesn't happen often. It happened once. And I remember I was like, okay, did you do anything to work toward it then? Like, I told you, and the answer was no. And I'm like, just because I bring it up in a reading that there's a new venture, do you know what I mean? I think there's this misconception that if the medium's bringing it up, that it's going to fall into my lap.
Yeah.
Same thing happens with some Broadway folks I've read where I've mentioned, like, I see a job coming up, and they're like, well, I still didn't get the job. And I'm like, are you auditioning? Are you waiting for like offer only? Yeah. Like no, like, so for you, when did you even start to get the idea? Like, I think I want to leave Broadway, leave theater, and explore this part of.
Yeah. It was a super long process, and I'm still going through it, but I would say the seed was planted. I remember it very like clearly. I was like 27, and I had gone in for a final callback for Aladdin before it was on Broadway. And it was one of those auditions where I went into it thinking I was like, this is going to be my B-Way debut. It's all happening. Yeah. I'd already done some Wicked and all that, but I wanted to be in New York and did not get it. The audition just like fell through my fingertips. I did not do well. I was prepared, I thought, but I got in my head and was not good. And so I remember I lived in Brooklyn at the time, and riding the subway home, I just like was sobbing, and I had glasses on, but I was on the subway, and I remember like I just wanted to be alone, and I felt this overwhelming sense of this business I've been in, the highs and the lows, like I had at that point booked my dream role in a chorus line, done Wicked, and there I was back at home and on my own choice, catering and trying to book a Broadway gig, and it just hit me to my core. And also the landscape of living in New York, when you want to be alone and cry, you're around people all the time. Mm-hmm. So I just had this moment of like, there's got to be something else out there. Like, I love this. I love what I do, and I know I'll do more of it. I was thinking to myself at the time, but I need something else long term. I know this isn't it for me forever. And that was both kind of like freeing, but terrifying. And I'm dealing now more with like the terrifying side of it, because I'm really making something else happen. But I'm also holding in this place of like, I'm kind of mourning like my former career. And I mean, never say never. I mean, who's to say? Maybe I will be dancing on a stage again, and I would love to, but also like the seed was planted back when I was 27. And from there, it's always been in my head, and it's just manifested in getting my yoga certification. Then I was doing Wicked, and I was teaching at Body by Simone, dance cardio, training private clients, but still doing this show and sort of living these, doing these two different careers, So it's really been a process. And then the pandemic happened, and not that I thought, oh, pandemic, this is my chance, I'm like gonna just open up a studio. That all sort of happened, like I said, in the last year organically. But yeah, hopefully that answers it. Like seed was planted a while ago, and it's just been a slow and steady process.
So you were eyeing the door pre-pandemic though?
Yes. I actually had left Wicked back in September of 2019 because I was the dance captain swing, and I was in that company in New York for almost 5 years. And I left on my own account knowing that, you know, I was leaving on good standings. I knew all the tracks that they always need people to fill in. So I was like, I'll leave. I can teach at BBS, Body by Simone, and work on my health coaching stuff, but also be called back and work some weeks here and there at Wicked. And that was happening. And then the pandemic, I was actually booked at the show when the pandemic happened.
I have to ask too, because this is another thing that Alicia Albright and I hit on. And
yes, the dream. Because
I get asked sometimes, does mediumship get old? And my brain immediately goes like, you, and I think of like, she even said, she goes, we shame ourselves in our community for getting tired of our job, because it's like we're taught, well, if you got on Broadway, this is the highest, this is like the upper echelon.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, I guess the experience of mediumship never gets old. It's never something that I take for granted. Because I do things to literally remind myself. Like I meditate before I go in. I write, like, you know, it sounds nerdy, but like I write a list down every day of why do I do what I do. So I never go into it feeling like somebody's loved ones to channel was a chore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't, it would break my heart to think that somebody went in and left going like, I think they were tired for this and they didn't really want to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's why like I only take 2 every other day, because for me it should never feel like a chore or a job. Do I get tired? Are there days where I wake up and like, because that's the other thing, like what people don't see at home is like if I have a reading at 9 a.m., I'm up by like 6:45 to get here to wake up, so that way that part of my brain, because you would think like, well, if you're kind of groggy and sleepy, does it work better? No. Like I have to be up for like 2 to 3 hours before I can start to like
be available.
Bingo. And so I don't think it has never gotten old. I've been worn out, and like I just recently, a month ago, 2 months ago, I had sold out that entire month. Sold out sounds weird, but every day that I was booked to the max, and like I remember I like had a meltdown driving home. I cried, and I told my spouse, I was like, I need to go away for a night. I'm like, can you please hold down the fort? I just need to like go to nature to reconnect. And I went hiking, and he was great. He was like, go. But for you, like, does Broadway get old? Can I ask?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it gets like, and again, Alicia's so right. Leave it to Alicia.
I love her.
Like to use that word shame, because it's true. We do shame ourselves for feeling tired and run down from our jobs. And it's kind of ridiculous, because it is, after all, it is a job. And yes, for anyone that does, I would think, Broadway, you don't do that because you're like forced to. You're doing that because you want to, and it's a passion. So it's a wonderful thing and a gift to book a Broadway show. Believe me, there are much harder jobs out there. There is no question. We're not, like solving the world's problems, but at the same time, it's a lot of hard work in that schedule, 8 times a week, 6 days a week, working holidays, sacrificing not seeing your family and your loved ones, not being home for dinners ever, and, weekends. It's a lot. Like, you look at that on paper, you're like, it's no wonder people get really tired and burnt out. And I think it's important to, like, hold space for that. And now, granted, on the other side of that, there are people that on social media just take it way too far and, like, complain about, it's usually, no offense, but it's usually people that are like from the age of like 20 to 25 that like write these posts about like, I'm so exhausted, and everyone's exhausted. Okay. Like that's called working, right? Like you have a good job. Yes, it's hard. No one's saying that it's not hard, but like, you're not saying anything new to you or anyone else that's doing a job. Like we're all tired, and yes, we do work a lot on the holidays, and it's fine, I think, to talk amongst each other about that. And we should, but at the same time, people do take it to the extreme, and like you just want to, like that's life.
Yeah. That has nothing to do with Broadway.
No,
no matter what job I think you're going to be like. Oh,
but I think the parts of Broadway though that make it specifically hard to what the profession is the schedule. the fact that to me, it wasn't my natural rhythm to get home at 11 o'clock at night every night and not go to bed until 1 o'clock and then wake up at 9. Like, I love now, I'm getting up at like 6:30, as you said.
With your feet in the dirt.
I love to put my feet in the dirt. I did it this morning, 20 minutes, grounding, and do a journal.
Because of you. And then I just cut the grass yesterday, though, so that I was like, so I'm literally out there, I'm like igniting like my heart chakra, visualizing light. Feet are in the ground, I feel good. And then I like walk into the house, but there's like all the grass within my toes. I'm like, fuck.
It's okay. Listen, grounding is everything, people. If you're not doing it, you don't know what's up. I just watched the documentary, I think it's called Earthing, but there's this guy, Clint Ober, sorry not to go on a tangent, but he is like the Earthing man. He started the whole movement, and I think he's in his like late 70s, scientist. And he has this company called Ultimate Longevity. I just got some earthing pads from them, but he did this documentary and said basically like what happens is when you're grounding, when your feet or your hands are bare and in the dirt or the grass, you're getting a negative charge because the earth is negatively charged, and we're like on fire. We're so positively charged, and we're all electricity. So when you get that negative charge, he explained how your body cannot have inflammation when you are standing on the ground. And so I just think that's fascinating. And I'm dealing with some back stuff here and there. So, and I, without fail, when I do it for 20 minutes a day, I feel a world of a difference.
I remember when I read you, I talked about an injury. I remember I was sitting in your kitchen and I talked about some type of, was it back?
My back.
I talked about an injury that you had sustained, and I was like, you got to watch that. Like,
yes.
Because that's the other neat thing about mediumship. I will know. It's so bonkers. So clairsentience was the feeling. I remember my back started bugging me, but the claircognizance is just the clear knowing. So when you really start to develop it and grease it well, you can know if it's someone in spirit or if it's for the person in front of you. Like, so immediately, and typically also, no one typically dies from like the back. You know, I'm not like, I have a soul here who died from the back.
Right.
Like, unless they were, shot in the back or like an accident.
Yeah.
I knew. And,
yeah, I remember that. I remember you bringing it up.
That's step one for us, is that like, I'm not good about it. You don't have to, for us, you don't have to literally ground to ground. Like we can visualize as long as we're visualizing our feet in dirt, barefoot. And then I picture the roots that pull me down to the core. I'm good. Like, I will never do a reading without doing that. But grounding.
Wow.
I want to talk about your business. So, like, you're back. You're here in Buffalo. So you've got Nicky Nicky Venditti Fitness and Wellness. Mm-hmm. Tell us all about it.
Well, it's a fitness and wellness space. I'm going to be offering group classes. I'm starting with 3 different group fitness class structures. One is dance and tone, which is dance. It's like a HIIT class. So you're getting the heart rate up, dancing, fun, easy to follow dance moves, and then you're stopping and toning the body with like light free weights and bands. And then you go back to dance, and then you go back, and then you work the lower body. So it's a full body workout. All the workouts are full body, whether they're high intensity or low impact. They're all 55 minutes long. So yeah, that's dance and tone. And then there's flow and tone, which is like the low impact offering. And that's vinyasa yoga based, but with toning as well, again, with the free weights and the bands. But it's just for people that maybe have injuries and can't do a lot of like jumping up and down, and their joints are a little messed up. And that's also a really good one for centering the mind, because like we've already been touching on, centering is super important to me. My whole thing is like I want people to get fit, have fun, and be centered. And I think all those things should coexist in any like wellness program. And then the last offering is called Just Dance. Because it is Just Dance, and
that's what I want to do.
Yeah, you gotta come. It's gonna be a dance sweat fest. Again, like easy to follow dance moves. And the thing about like dance, so my whole like love for dance cardio started in New York. A friend of mine was teaching it and was like, come to class. And in my head, as a professional dancer, I'll admit, I was like a little stuck up about it. I was like, I dance for a living. I'm not gonna go to some like Zumba class and dance, So I went, and between the music and the sweat and the endorphins and just feeling like I just worked my ass off but had the most fun of my life, I was instantly hooked. And I was like, I want to do this.
But it's a community aspect too.
Yes. Yes. You get to high five that friend like next to you. Yeah. And you go get the green juice after or that iced coffee. And you just, yes, it is. It's all the stuff.
I don't know if you were actually high fiving me, so I will meet you. Sorry. I was like, oh, did I leave you? I know. Like when I would go spinning, but it's even riding the Peloton when I do, just to see the leader, like the fact that people can like high five you, and to me it just speaks, like even with the pandemic right now, to feel connected of sorts to other people. Like, I feel like yours is gonna flourish because this idea of finding community or like reestablishing community as we hopefully slowly start to come out of this pandemic is gonna be big.
That's my hope. The community hit on it exactly. That's like a huge pillar of my business. And it's also just about like the balance of it all. So many places do offer just like dance cardio or just yoga. But I am going to infuse all of those because they're actually a true part of like my fitness journey and what I have found through injuries, through balancing, a super activated sympathetic nervous system of working on Broadway, living in New York. Like, what do I need? I need centering. I need to sweat, let it all out, but I need to always come back to a place of like calm before I leave the door, because then my cortisol is just like through the roof. And I think that's for most people. So that's why I'm offering the classes I'm offering, and also doing private coaching as the functional health coach, and private training as well. And the private training stuff can be for someone who wants to like get ready for their wedding, or if they just want to like learn some of the dances. Like some people that I've trained before, not everyone's ready to go in front of all these other people, and like they're afraid they're not going to be able to keep up. And it's not, you don't have to be a rockette for these dances. Sure. But it's harder for some people, and understandably so. So private training stuff, I can break down stuff with people one by one and be that like dance captain again.
I know I've told you before, but I wish there were more people like you, like Alicia. Like there's people that you meet where like the joy literally like oozes out of them, and like it's not a phony, it's not a like the you're one of them. Like I just, to watch you on your story where like just where you're dancing, like you can see that's where this lights up.
There's some, thank you,
magical.
Thank you. I love this guy.
You just made an Alexis face from Schitt's Creek right there.
Oh no, but I like really meant it.
I know, but it was really.
But I do. That's just probably because I'm feeling like
genuine,
I get
but
awkward
it was so
with compliments sometimes, so I turn into Alexis apparently. Thank you, and I feel like the dancing fitness stuff has like makes me feel like I'm that kid on stage at Shays for the first time again. As cheesy as that may sound, it really does like bring me to this place of like I can. And the thing is, I can play Madonna, I can play Britney, I can play Lil Nas X. Like, and the music is really important to me too. Like, it's a vibe.
Yeah. Plans for opening.
Yes.
What are those?
So, as we were talking about, they have shifted a little bit. So, I have a lot of great people helping me with different things, but I'm essentially a one-man show, kind of like organizing everything right now, and that's cool. That's all part of it. But, so my flooring just came in. So, I was set to open, soft opening this Wednesday, the 19th of May. It's going to get delayed a week, possibly two, depending. Because I was saying to you again about centering. So, starting a business, I'll be totally honest, I didn't realize how hard it was and how much I guess guts you could say it was going to take. And I'm just day by day learning like, okay, this is it. We're on this track. It's happening. So all of that is to say, I'm going to open either, I think it's the 26th. That's a Wednesday. Or it'll be that following week, June 2nd. And whatever week it is, my plan is to do a week of free classes. So I want to offer people a chance to just come try it out. And, something like an offer of, if you book a 5-class pack in that first week, when you're taking free class, you'll get an extra free class. Or if you do a 10-class pack, you can get a free class and also a free training with me to kind of experience that. But, the goal is to just offer free classes for that first week, because I just want people to feel what it's like to be in a group setting again and not feel like the stakes are so high. And and I'm also a new guy again in town doing a new thing. So I want people to feel really welcomed and like they can just pop in.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
You hit the nail. Even with mediumship, like we're our own boss. So and I'm lucky. Like my spouse did the website design. He did all of that stuff. But I mean, it is a lot. Like you're the medium. You're the answering the emails back. You're getting all the Zoom links. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but like it kind of is. It is. And there's that temptation to go like, especially when you're your own boss, and like, and I know you've got to be feeling this way too as a photographer. Like, when am I off the clock? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if I don't answer that email within 5 minutes, are they going to lose interest? If I don't, even posting on social media, I'm like, I was Googling like what time is the best time statistically for people to view your
100% done it. Yeah, I'm excited.
You're right in Williamsville. You got some good coffee shops. Green juice. You got some good spots where we can go get our green juice.
Exactly. I love a sweat session followed by a green juice or like an iced coffee in the summer. Like, is there anything better?
No, there's nothing better.
Maybe sun chips though.
At 6 a.m.
At 6 a.m.
I was finding. So before, our dogs were getting up at like 4 a.m. for food. And so there were moments where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to let them out. But obviously we're not going to feed them because I don't want them to get in this habit. But like, I would come downstairs and I was like, why are there like chip crumbs on the, I was like literally in my 4 a.m. fog, like eating like food, like at 4 a.m. and like leaving crumbs. There was like blue cheese on the counter the one time. I was like cleaning it up rapidly before like my spouse got done. I was like, oh God. Oh yeah, it's real. So
yeah, I had an ex that did that.
You what?
I had an ex that like would legit like eat like
in the middle of the night.
There'd just be candy wrappers.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't know where, but he did know. He just wasn't aware of it.
Somebody I read today, and this is like, I know, and then I promise we'll wrap up, but the fun type of evidential stuff. This grandfather came through today, and he showed me a bed with like chip crumbs in it, and I was like, okay. I'm like,
a bag or a bed?
A bed with chip crumbs in it.
Okay.
And I started laughing so hard because, and I always like to say, like, if you're somebody that's watching this show and you're not interested in the Broadway aspect, you're wanting to train to be a medium, you don't always have to get their age or how they died as a piece of validation. You could give them something from the present, and to me that counts. And I was like, are you eating like chips in your bed at like during the day? Like, do you watch TV down here? Because I said, I'm being shown that you're trying to fall asleep at night, and then you turn and like you feel like sharp chip crumbs on your body. And she started laughing. She goes, oh my God. She goes, yes, she goes, it's a really bad habit. And your grandfather's like, stop eating chips in bed. So
I gotta wait, just one thing.
Yeah.
When you read me back, when you did a couple months ago, back in August. Oh my gosh. And we had gluten-free blueberry muffins.
So good that you made.
Yes.
So good.
Wait, so I just remember being in my kitchen getting the muffins ready, and you said, who's Linda? And that's my mom. And I was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is lit. And I already knew you were legit. I knew it. I felt it in my heart, of course. But yeah, that was something that you just like, it just right from that moment, it was like you were tuned in, and it was incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you. Oh my God, I'm gonna do that like nonstop now with you.
Thank you. Wait.
Oh, that was good. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Wait, that was not good.
Wait, have you ever seen? Actually, there's the actress that plays Alexis. I don't know if it's a TikTok or YouTube, but she does Moira.
Yes. She's like, in the lee of a picturesque ridge lies a small, unpretentious winery.
So good. Not only a medium, but
a comic and a bit of a
comic.
So,
just fold the cheese.
You fold it in. All of this God. You got just for watching today. If you were stuck as a ghost in a theater for all of eternity, and you could only watch one musical.
I've watched Wicked way too much. It probably wouldn't be Wicked, but or a chorus line. It might be Gypsy. I did see not Bernadette. Patty. I felt like it was a lot. Like her energy was
a lot.
intense.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to watch Patty for the rest of my life. She's incredible, but
I'd probably...
Maybe then I don't want to watch Gypsy because that's kind of that role. I don't know.
I saw it. I saw it in college, and I remember being mesmerized with like Laura Benanti.
Yes. Laura Benanti.
It was one of those shows where I forgot that I was watching a show.
Yeah.
When the dressing room fight, I really forgot. Any character that you've played in the past, or just a character that you enjoy that would benefit most from a medium?
That's such a damn good question. I would say Paul. Absolutely, from A Chorus Line.
Yeah, because you do have to wonder. You have to wonder if, like, I mean, are we to presume that Paul's parents are still here by the time he's doing the monologue?
Yes.
Yes.
I always felt that way.
They were still there and just no contact.
Yeah, but I think like his he talks about Sid Charisse and her rags and everything, and old
Anna
Hollywood
Wong,
and Anna Mae Wong, and just those spirits. Maybe they would come through to him. Maybe they, Baayork Lee actually told me all about like the actual guy who was one of the writers of The Chorus Line, was who the character was based off of, and he would hang on 72nd Street where the 1 train is now. That used to be called Needle Park because there were just a bunch of heroin addicts there, and Paul, the character, the actual person though, would hang out there. That's where he met all those like the people that like the creeps that came up to him and stuff. And
get out of here.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that fascinates me, is that like that's the cool stuff that like you can only get first hand from talking with somebody like her. You know, you can't read that in a book. And
yeah, it was neat. There were ghosts in that show too. It's like, I don't know, something about it.
Because you're honoring these are all real people.
Yeah.
Michael Bennett sat down with these folks. So
He's from Buffalo, by the way.
Yes. And I found out that my, second cousin, I forgot what the last name is. His first name was Sammy. He was in the national tour.
Wait, Sammy, did he ever direct at Art Park?
I don't know.
Sammy directed the Singing in the Rain I did at Art Park.
The last name started with a V.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, this might be the same. Little Italian guy.
Yes?
Yeah. Sammy, I don't know his last name.
Sammy Veverito?
Right. Yes! Okay. He directed the Singing in the Rain that I did.
Okay, so...
And he knows Patty really, really well.
Capone?
No. Well, he might, actually. Patty Neal.
Look at me like trying to immediately find the bridge to Patty. I was like,
You're Lapone. Oh my God, I struck a chord.
Well, apparently Sammy pissed off Michael Bennett when A Chorus Line was visiting. I want to say the show was in Toronto.
Okay.
Or Buffalo. So he was like, Sammy was supposed to go on for one of the bigger tracks. They pissed off Bennett, and Bennett was like, nope, you're not going on anymore. So like totally pulled the...
Oh yeah, Bennett has done some things.
Oh, sure.
I've heard stories about him in the line at the opening night, like at the buffet, like just saying stuff to cast members, like after opening night. Hardcore, man.
When I saw A Chorus Line at Art Park, literally during what I did for Love, who's the casting director? Zach?
Yeah.
That Zach was in the bathroom and they didn't turn off his mic.
No.
So literally she's like, kiss today. Good. And you literally hear like pee going into a toilet bowl. And like no one could figure it out. And I'm like, this isn't like rain. Like this was like clearly like thunderous pee going into a bowl. And like Maggie's just like singing her bit, or is it Diana Morales?
Yeah, it's Diana. Yeah.
Morales is singing it, and finally like 30 seconds in, like it was a long pee. We covered pee and poop today. They cut off the mic, but 100 years from now, when we're all not here, if you had a medium bring you through, how would you want to be identified? How would you want to say, oh, I've got Nicky here, and this person really would have been remembered as what?
That's an amazing question. I think I would want to come through to people as a like sense of calm. A sense of like, yeah, if the medium was sensing me, that they would say, oh, I feel like this like calm and like, sort of centered, kind energy around. That's how I'd want to come through.
I love when I bring folks through and I have like the client sitting in front of me, and if I see the symbol sometimes makes me emotional to talk about, but if I see a line wrapped around the block, that meant like the amount of people that came out for someone's funeral. And so like just about a month ago, I had somebody right there and I was like, this line wraps around like twice, and she started crying. I'm like, I literally can't say a bad thing about this person. You know what I mean? And just to see the look on her face, to know that like, she was like, oh, we're talking about the same person, was just so.
Oh, Jimmy.
It was neat. So I want to thank you so much for,
thank you.
We got an in-person one.
I know.
This is not digitally imposed.
So cute.
Thank you for being my guest, everyone. I will put Nicky's information up right on the screen, so you can check out his business Instagram, if you want to see posts of like his Broadway life, his business. Please check out when you're in the area.
My feet in the dirt.
The feet in the dirt.
Yeah. Your
journaling, your incredible business, which I know is going to flourish. And I'm so blessed to know you. And everyone at home, be well, and
thanks,
we'll see you
too.
soon. Bye.
Bye.